second speaker is Ahmed, Head of Division for Group Applications in Al Fazila Holdings. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start from Dr. Arwa, how she started. It was like evolution of big data, along with her, and how what were the different phases, how the technology has improved over a period of time. That was one of the things. I am also going to cover certain aspects since she already covered the evolution part, so I may not cover that particular thing. And Mr. Barun, he was talking about, initially what I understood, like he was talking about the importance of having the connectivity, because without connectivity, there is no technology. So the connectivity has to be there. And as you can see, this is my topic, the challenges and opportunities of the cloud, a CIO's perspective. That's not only a CIO, but it's like a head of IT, or if you are responsible for certain aspects with regards to the cloud and the IT in general. So let me start. Actually, I'm not going to define what is the cloud, because there are a lot of definitions out there, because the cloud as a technology, it is being evolved, and we are in the phase of a revolution. So the proper definition has to come yet. However, over a period of time, I think it's going to come, and there is a lot of work is being done across the different geographic regions. According to my definition, or according to my understanding, cloud is not just about the technology, it is about business benefit as well. So most of the time, the people, they think like it's about the technology, it is about the improvement of the technology. There are regulations are there, and that need to be also aligned. So there is a lot of things with the cloud it comes. As you can see, this is my agenda. However, it looked like long. I'm not gonna spend time on each slide. I'll try to skip some of the slides and some of the headings in order to maintain the time. As you can see, like the big theme, which is information controlled world. And that is something like a philosophical or something which I understand as an information. Alhamdulillah, I also spent like 2 decades, and almost 2 decades I spent in Saudi Arabia itself after completing my engineering. So those are the things I am going to talk, and as you can see, common cloud challenges and so on. There is a list. So as you can see, this is the big theme which I am saying, most likely since my topic is like a CIO perspective, what I mean to say as a head of IT. As a head of IT, as a chief information officer, and information is given. And information is given for us as a responsible service owner to take certain actions. There is no use of information without actions. So this is, and by the way, this is the slide I used around 6 months before, and the same slide I thought of putting, because Gartner on 24th of October last month, he's talking about certain things which I will try to cover up in my next slide. So according to my philosophy, according to my understanding, there is information and there is a controlled world, where the information some actions need to be taken on that particular information. And whatever you get as an output, that is like a knowledge world, where you can drive the value, where you are ready to transform to your system, to the new era, to the coming years, where you can stand competitive enough, those kind of things. So when you are talking about like information world, we are talking about so many objects. I would like to start by saying that we have started by 1980s, I believe, there was a Bert Cerf, something his name, I don't remember exactly what was his name. He is considered to be father of internet. And he, along with Bob Khan, he has created a TCP/IP protocol. And that TCP/IP is responsible in 1980s. That is responsible how one PC can be connected to the other PC. And that was the sole purpose, the time when, but there was an enormous growth in the internet. Now there is a challenge with regards to the cloud, where we want to see how one cloud can be connected to the other cloud. So it is no more like between PC to PC connectivity, and that PC to PC connectivity has spread across different geographic regions, and now we are naming that as an internet. So now we started actually from the connected world, where the connectivity was one of the major aspect for a business to run, to send information by using communication channels from one place to the other. That was the aspect. Now we are into the phase of super connectivity, where every individual in your hand today, 80 to 90% they have the smartphones, they have an internet. So they are connected to the internet, and so we are in super connected world. And this super connected world, it will take us to a hyper connected, I can say, where every universal object what you see today, that has a certain characteristic, that has certain attribute, where the data is being bulging, or data is being emitted by those objects. And those objects, it may not be necessary to be a computational object. Even non-computational object, it has certain characteristics. Those characteristics need to be taken into consideration in order to promote your product, services, and things like that. And if you see from the PMI methodology, technology, yes, it is important, it's a tool, but the main thing, the driver is not the technology, it's the business. It is the goal, it is your objective, it is our strategy. So if you talk about the PMI, as you have seen so many knowledge area, there is an input and there is a control. The certain tools and techniques are applied in order to get the output. So that kind of thing. That's the philosophical. And last month, Gartner came up with this top 10 IT technology top trends. And I just pasted over here. So this is what he's talking about. He's talking about like mobile applications, and there is HTML5 which is just launched. And with this HTML5, the new vendors, they are you can design a website into in a platform, and using a screen where you do one development, and the same development, the same software, the same application, all your portfolio will be available across different devices, whether it's a PC, laptops, or iPhones, or iPads, or any Samsung stuff, or Android stuff. So that's one of the trend. And there is a personal cloud. So personal cloud is nothing but, actually, according to Gartner's last month, he segregated it's like two types of clouds. One is the personal cloud. Me as an individual, I'm also availing certain services. Me as an individual, I have a social element, where I have a social cloud, where I do certain activities, certain percentage of amount of time I am spending to fulfill, to achieve certain goals from the social side. And there is a company or corporate or professional. And that is also like I have certain projects, I am responsible for certain services, and so on, like there is EPM, there is so many things are there, so I am responsible for that. So actually he came up, I am not here just to explain what all they, but I am just trying to bring the rhythm actually, how the global trend is going on, and how we can map those global trends to the local trends in Saudi Arabia itself. Of course, there is no doubt, there is nothing we talk about without having a stable connectivity. Connectivity is the most important aspect. And of course, the infrastructure is the back end. Without infrastructure, without having the nerves in your body, the blood will not circulate. So that is also must. So you have to have a stable infrastructure covering up all different scenarios and aspects and technical difficulties, regulatory compliances, and so on. We just need to prepare ourselves in that particular. I just try to put those challenges actually as a common cloud challenges, because there cannot be a challenge without I touch the security and privacy, and there is. However, my today's talk, I'm not going to emphasize on this particular topic, but I felt like it is important and I cannot complete challenges and opportunities topic without showing this particular slide. There is a perception with regards to the IT, there is a perception regards to IT characteristics, and there is a cloud characteristics, there is a perception for the cloud. People think about the technology, some people they think like the business has to be always up and running. CFO, we think it's about saving the money. Business, they think it's about the time to market, how my service has to be up and running. We just came up with a new product or new services that need to launch in a specific geographic region and so on. So those kind of things has to be there. And there is something very interesting actually, patents and anti-patents. Last month I was in London to deliver the big data speech, and in that Gartner Vice President, her name is Annie, she tried to emphasize on this particular aspect. Although we know a few things, but we may not be knowing by the name. Like patents, we know as a software developer, as an IT pro, we understand pattern in terms of designing an application portfolio, designing an application architecture. We need to see how we can design our application which will follow certain frameworks, certain methodologies, and it has to fulfill certain pattern aspects, and so on. And there is some element also, it's called anti-pattern. Now, since whatever we do today, we are not just doing the things to fulfill the business requirement for today. What we do today, we need to do it in a way where we can capitalize this investment, these efforts, what we are putting today for the future. If I design an application, if I release an infrastructure service, if I release a citizen service, what we do today, yes, we need to be up to date and we need to fulfill the requirement for today, but we need to see what is the future, how we are going to cater this particular service for the coming 4 years and 5 years and so on. Those kind of aspects. So technology will be there. You can, I'm sure most of you understand the technology and you have spent what I can see as a ma'am was saying, like, you are the experienced guys. And even I am also old enough. So I can understand the technology is there. And even some of you also may be understanding what is the business impact. And there is like IT and the business is like a silos. IT, they think something about business and business thinks something about IT. Those kind of things. When you are talking about the anti-patterns are those elements, whether it's hardware infrastructure, whether it's the communication infrastructure, whether it's a software or an application which we are designing today, that will go against the strategy, that will go against the global trend, that will go against the regulation which is gonna come, which you may not see today, that will come. What we, as per the statistics, what we know, there are some countries, they have their internet traffic has exceeded the traffic of PC, laptops, and conventional devices what we use for browsing and for fetching the information and for doing our research. Those kind of things. So we need to identify the hardware, software, what are the things which will stop us not to, and which will make us to carry forward those legacy. We need to identify and we need to find out and we need to kill that particular thing, because that will be against our strategy in the future. We may not identify or we may not understand today, but we may understand it sooner or later. And cloud is the thing which is gonna come, whether we take it or we don't take it. This is according to the Gartner. However, by saying that, I am not here to promote a product or a service. Being a neutral speaker, I'm not biased to any technology or any vendor. But however, we have to, there are certain metrics we have to measure in order to roll out, in order to adopt a specific tool or a specific technology which has to be open, and so on. And security and privacy, this is one of the big domain, and democratization of IT also is a big domain, which I consider out of the scope because it is going to be a very huge topic. However, I would like to touch only on the security and privacy part just within a minute. What I would like to say, Before 10 years and 15 years, the time when the Wi-Fi came up, the corporate, it was like a threatening, how come my network can be exposed in the air where anybody can fetch my information, can get hooked to my network and can fetch the data and those kind of things. Today, the security is going to continue as a concern. We are being paid as IT pros because of the problems. So that is going to be there. There is no solution for the security. Security is like a recurring or an iterative or it's a governance which you need to see and keep on monitoring. However, what I see, privacy, it is something which you may need to really look into it. What are the options available? How I make sure when my information is being hosted, especially considering the public cloud. As you may know, there are 3 clouds or 4 clouds as per the trend which is happening. There is a public cloud and there is a private cloud. And there is something in the middle which is called hybrid cloud. So I am sure everybody knows about that. Hybrid cloud is the cloud where you have certain services within your data center and some of the services, like even today, some of the services which may not be very confidential, like communication, hosting and exchange, having Google apps and those kind of things. Still you can, I don't see. However, the adoption of what type of cloud you want to go as a business, it depends on the different scenarios. It depends on your business priorities and so on. So privacy is the only thing which I see personally as something, the area where we need to look into it. Because how I can make sure that my information is not being shown to some other supplier or vendor or my competitor. Those kind of things. Otherwise, security is going to continue and it is a concern and that will be carried forward. There is no security concern came up because of the cloud. Security was there as a concern. In fact, I could say security, in terms of security, now we are in better control. Because the person who is selling the cloud, it is his image, it is his, he put all his stakes in the market. So if he don't deliver the job, his name will be spoiled and so on. And of course there is another concern or challenge you can say which is exit strategy. Whenever we are going to go, especially for the public cloud, how I can come back, how I can make sure my data will be available to me as and when it is needed. Because what I know, I think Ireland and there are so many countries where your same data, same application, you cannot be able to fetch it from the other geographic location because you are in different jurisdiction. So those kind of concerns. So it is, cloud is not just about the technology, it is about the regulations, it is about so many other aspects as well. And integration and democratization. Integration where you have, as I said, like you have 2 different clouds and the challenge, how you can connect to do 2 different clouds. So there is a pool of IP addresses over here in one cloud and there is a pool of IP addresses in the other cloud. And unfortunately, what I see as a trend, actually I'm trying to work out using the social media to create a kind of consortium and where we can come up with a kind of certain standards, certain recommendations that will be sent to different stakeholders with regards to the cloud. What I see with regards to the cloud, each cloud service provider has his own set of APIs, he has his own set of technologies. Me as a business owner, if me as a developer, if I am working the same knowledge what I have with the AWS, I cannot use the same knowledge for the Google as a cloud service provider. There is no unification of APIs, there is no unification of a common platform which I can use and develop my applications. And I just, for Android, I have to develop using their SDKs, their own platform, and then I post it in the Android store. For the iOS, I develop something and so there are different stores. All these need to be, there has to be a common platform. So according to me, and although there are certain protocols being evolved and it's coming up, there's a lot of work is being done, I am sure it will be addressed. According to the Gartner last month, he's talked about 4 forces, and fortunately I was fortunate that this is the area of my focus for the past 1.5 years. The cloud, mobile, social and information. Information is nothing but it's about the big data, where you're talking about data analytics, where you're talking about taking decisions based on the data. Google, they call themselves as a data, they take data-based decisions. It is fact-based decisions, things like that. And there are certain buzzwords I just try to put up. Every budget is an IT budget. Before we used to call IT, the budget has to be allocated by the IT department. But there is a lot of budget is being spent away from the IT department. A lot of new gadgets are there, and so on, things like that. I need you to help me out with the time. Cloud challenges, cloud service level agreement. As you might be always involved, what are the SLAs and compliances, and of course the SLA need to be driven from the service catalog and so on. However, there are certain things I felt like I should put it, and that will be like a personalized in the light of cloud. Of course, nobody can commit on the resolution. Everybody can commit on the response. And then when the response comes, how it has to be reported, and as a person who is responsible for that particular service, how it will be reacted. Considering that you are in the hybrid mode, because I don't think that there is one vendor who can provide all cloud solutions. That is not going to be possible, at least in the coming 5 to 10 years. That's what we believe. However, the consolidation process is happening. Big companies, they are acquiring specialized companies. Cisco and so many other companies, they have acquired the other companies in order to expand the portfolio of cloud portfolio. And that thing is already happening. General availability and downtime. What could be the general availability, what could be the downtime and all of that. And there is a measurement of characteristics and attributes you have to do. Penalty clauses, that is very conventional. And bill of rights, this is something very important. What kind of cloud solution you have subscribed or you have asked for, with the software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. And you might be aware, infrastructure as a service is nothing but where you have all your data center as an infrastructure is there, and there is a virtual layer will be put in order to provide that as an infrastructure solution where you as a consumer, you can take that particular service and build your platform and software as a service. And software as a service and platform as a service, and they are also something like that only. Say, Force.com, Salesforce.com, they stands like #1 from the software as a service, whereas even Microsoft and Google and as well as Amazon, they have their own big stake in the cloud as a cloud service providers. Cloud service brokerage. This is something which is important and which is the trend which will happen in Saudi Arabia as well, I believe. The reason why, because when you as a small and medium scale, maybe large enterprises, they may have their own private cloud. Private cloud is nothing but it's a data center. It is just your data center. However, I don't mean it's a data center. I will come up to that particular point and where I will try to elaborate what I mean by saying as a data center. But for the sake of simplicity and understanding, it's a data center. But we are taking all those characteristics and attributes and merits from the public cloud and trying to embed that to the private cloud. So my applications, they can expand. I will have more CPU power as and when it is required. Let's say like we have month ends where a lot of processing is required and things like that. Time to market and so many buzzwords are there. So those kind of things. You save the money, you pay as you go, and so on. Things like that. So those kind of characteristics which you are embedding into the private, into your data center, and that data center become cloud. Of course, any data center cannot be called as a cloud. It has to be, there is a, I will show in the other slide. I will take like 1 minute over here. We talk about the CIO, but CIO as a chief information officer. But the new trend, he has to be a chief innovation officer. He has to innovate something. He has to take certain actions. He has to bring the value. It is not just about taking the information and keeping it with me. What is the use of giving the information? My pet example, I used to consider like a dam, or you can say like from the Red Sea we get the water, and there is a desalination process is happening, and then that water is become like a healthy water. So the water, the salty water which we are taking, it's an information. It is a source, but there is a desalination process has to happen. There is a hardening of water, pH, something which I studied. Those kind of things has to happen. Once it happens, those actions being taken on the source of information, yes, you have an output where you have a healthy water which you can drink, which will serve to your humanity, which will serve to the business, which will serve to every individual, and so on. So, Chief Mobility Officer also, I will not talk on that particular, but I will talk a little bit on the CDO. This is the new trend, new concept. By year 2016, I don't know it, yes, 2015, 25% of companies will have the Chief Digital Officer. He is not a replacement of CIO, but there is a new thing comes. His responsibility, he is a guy with an operational experience for that particular domain. He has to have, of course, the management skills. He has to have the strategic mindset. It is not just about the technology. He has to see what is our objectives, what are our strategies, which is happening, which is the primary goal, which is the primary focus of our business. What is our target? What is our region which we are targeting for? What is the segment we are targeting in what conditions? When I talk about the conditions, I will talk in detail on that particular aspect. I will touch the big data stuff over there. And of course the cloud, the social cloud, everybody knows the LinkedIn, Facebook, and so many Twitter. I can bet 100% of you guys may be having some or other. That's the social element part. So social element or social cloud, when you are talking about, the trend is happening not just to leverage, not just to explore more business opportunities from the people or from the audience, but also it is like your own brand. You as an own brand, you as a company brand, you as your own image, those kind of things. And that requires a large amount of transparency. I have developed a product and I think it's the best product in the world, and that's my assumption, because I consider I am like 20 or 40 or 100 years experience, so whatever I will decide, the consumer will accept. No, sorry, it will not happen like that. We need to see, and the survey is what we used to see. We have to see, although you may be knowing everything, but we have to see. I think I am good, but the audience, they are the ones who will decide. It's not me, what I think about myself. It is about others, what they think about you. And so on. So partnership will happen. It's like a brand, a partnership between the brand and the consumer. The one who will consume your service, the one who will consume your brand, those kind of things. So it's a platform to demonstrate a commitment, not just for the sake of your own benefit, but the sake of benefit for others. Those kind of things. And of course, it also creates an identity and all of that. I used to tell some of my employees, when sometimes they try to come with an excuses, and I think everybody's in that particular era. But giving the reason is not the justification for you to not to grow. So you need to grow. So I will now try to, and this one slide itself is like one speech. So I just try to say, as a big data, it covers like 3 areas: volume, velocity, and variety. I talk about as a speed, source, speed, and something else. So as a volume, why we are calling as a big data? According to Gartner, by year 2020, the big data will be named again back to its own origin, which is called data. You know the reason why? Because there are 3 challenges which we see with regards to the big data at the moment. when you talk about the business, it's all about the information, it is all about the data. It is unstructured data. Unfortunately, we are living in a world where there is more than 80% of data which is available as of today, that is unstructured data. There is a debate whether it's like 15% to 20%, that's the structured data. And there is something semi-structured data. I have all those tweets, I have all the information, but those information, it is not allowing me to make the decisions. That is the challenge. I have large amount of data, but I don't have the platform. I don't have a platform which can compute. Now we have different technologies for computing the big data, Hadoop and HDFS, and there is a there is plenty of stuff. So I will not touch that particular area. But my goal, just to show that there are three challenges, and those three challenges will be met in a few years. According to Gartner, we will refer big data as data, because the platform, the infrastructure will be capable enough to provide, to compute all the data which we have in terms of large volume, and also which can provide you instantaneously where the decision can be made. We used to have certain BI reports. It takes like 10 hours. So I don't know whether it will finish. If any error comes, as Mr. Yusuf Arun was saying about the backup scenarios, so many IT organizations, there is an individual team who is responsible for taking the backup, but they don't know that they are also responsible for the restore. Those kind of alignment has to happen. You are taking the backup, successfully done, that's it, my job is done. No, sir. So those kind of reactive or proactive actions need to be taken. With regards to the big data, it is about taking the decisions, not the data from the past, but it is like a predictive analysis. I can predict what will happen based on the data which I have, not only from my data warehouses, which is core business data, which we used to claim as a 360 view. Sorry, it is not 360 view. There is a lot of amount of data is there. When I come to the airport, I just switch on, I get through, since I enabled the location services, I will get all the recommendations, whether it's a climatic recommendation or advertisement with regards to my location. So those kind of things are there. So that the decision, intelligent decision need to be taken by considering those aspects. So I will just try to move on. I will not, I think, talk about the consumerization of IT and this one. I think since more than 1 year to 2 years, everybody is listening. So I'll just go through this. But however, it's like one of, I think in next session, I think this gentleman is going to cover this particular virtualization aspect. I just try to cover only this particular part. When we go to the data center, believe me, there is a lot of junk is there. There are servers, there are services which are working. And we believe, and there is justification from that guy, no, it cannot be, no, it will be, it can be. So the assessment has to happen before we actually think about virtualization. Virtualization is not about just you create a virtual server and host it out of 50 servers. No, sir, I put it on, we have like 10 servers. Those family of servers are there, which is being provided, but there is some housekeeping work need to be done, where you standardize, where you consolidate. You see how many SQL servers are there, what are their versions, and try to see how we can map it, how you can bring to a common platform, and things like that. And then you virtualize. And then of course, when we are talking about the cloud, this is what, this is like a life cycle, I can say, it's like a basic thing, where you automize and you try to make a self-service. Cloud has a very complex infrastructure, complex architecture at the background. But for the user, it has to be simple. Why this iPhone or iPad, why they were successful? Why they are the one who came up and it became like a major trend? When I was like e-commerce manager, and we used to, 9 years before, when the internet came to Saudi Arabia, we used to call m-commerce. I used to also go, being an e-commerce, my job is to promote the e-commerce, but I really can't believe that this particular screen with this kind of thing will really help me to make an m-commerce, sorry. But now, the m-commerce is happening, although the word is not there, but it's happening already. Because all the smartness and the innovation and everything is already embedded in the smartphones. I'm not promoting iPhone, but I'm saying in general as a smartphones, as a technology. So automation and self-service has to be there. And then you align and integrate. And then, sir, you can go and look into the cloud. So there is plenty of work need to be done before we actually talk about the cloud. Yes, it is good for us to understand what are the cloud, what are the characteristics. Take the good and leave the bad. If you think security is the concern, don't disturb yourself. There are a lot of things need to be done before that. I will skip this one. This is something I'm like done. This is also not. I came up with an Adobe Ninja as a framework. What I have done, basically, I try to take the good from every frameworks and methodologies which are available, whether it's a PMI, whether it's like a Lean Six Sigma, whether it's like a CMMI, and so on. And I have developed, and of course, it cannot be like one-man show. This is the initial stuff which I have just done, and still a lot of work need to be done, where you define the goal, where you orchestrate, as you can see, orchestrate a typical cloud-ready architecture. It is not just the hardware infrastructure, it is not just about the applications, it is about the whole thing. And that has to map with your organization strategies. It is not just, my friend, it's about the technology. It is about your alignment with your organization objectives. And so on, it is there. So I will not take time, I think I'm almost like, I would like to say thank you. And if anyone want to get in, connect with me, LinkedIn, I am there. Mr. Yusuf Barun, he is one of my most valuable person, and he has endorsed me. I say thank you to him for that. And I never know that I am going to meet him today. And these are the three big data delivery models I have developed. And Ninja, which you saw, and there is stages of big data. And believe me, it looked like a very astonishing to me, or it's like I don't know whether how I should react. I should be happy or I shouldn't be happy. The reason why, because there are so many things IBM and other people, they are talking last month, which I was talking for the past 6 to 8 months before. Thanks a lot, and it was wonderful to be with you, and you are a very valued audience. Thank you.
Make a quick announcement, because at this point, after this next speech, we can split into 2 halls. There's a second hall next door, and a good friend Peter is going to run that hall. There's a talk in there on data center security, a case study, if you want to go into the other hall after this next speech. So stay for this one, and then at the end of this one, you can either go into that hall or stay in this hall. In this hall, we're talking about IT disaster recovery. In the other hall, we're talking about data center security. So depending on your interest, you might want to go